Everybody, and welcome to the webinar about simplifying your EPM reporting process. This is a joint webinar between Infratects and CXO Cockpit, and for the next half hour we're going to discuss the following agenda. We're going to talk about the background of the EPM reporting process and the challenges that people face around that reporting process, why and how other EPM customers have simplified that process, and most of half hour we will try and visit a live demo to show you how customers of EPM tooling actually can improve their reporting and simplify the reporting. Today we are with two speakers, and Paul, maybe you can introduce yourself quickly.
Yes, I can. Hello everybody, my name is Paul Hollander. I'm a functional consultant at Infratects. Infratects is a company dedicated to EPM hosting and consulting for specifically Oracle, Tagetik, and we are also partnering with CXO.
Thank you, Paul. My name is Jean-Pierre and I'm working for CXO Cockpit and been with the company from the start, and I'm in the sales / business development role within our wonderful company. So today we're going to discuss, as the title suggested, how the EPM reporting process can be improved and simplified. That's the main topic for today. And in summary, we really want to explain what's going on in the reporting process and why our customers want to simplify that. And the basic principle is that still a lot of Excel is being used in the EPM reporting process, and we're going to dive a little bit more into that during this presentation. The second thing is that there's a lot of paper involved still in distributing the most important information from the underlying EPM system, whether that's HFM or a system like Essbase or SAP BBC or Tagetik. There is still a lot of paper involved, and we see that a lot of customers using those systems, they want to introduce the digital reporting aspect or digital finance in their organizations, and that's exactly what CXO Cockpit was built to do. Started 10 years ago, and still today it's our main mission to help customers move away from the paper and Excel-based reporting. So today, if you talk to 100 EPM customers or 100 HFM customers, I think 95 of them would say that their main source of information, sharing information within the stakeholders in the organization, is based on paper-based reporting. And the core of CXO Cockpit's business is helping those customers that want to move away from the paper-driven and Excel-driven reporting process to a more online, robust sharing of information through tablets, through screens and mobile phones. So that's the core of what we do within CXO Cockpit. So how does that traditional EPM reporting process look like? Well, Excel, as you can already see in the middle, is the dominant tool that EPM customers are using. And in the Hyperion and Oracle world, it's called SmartView, but it's basically Excel, which is a very complex environment. It's unsecure, it's disconnected, and this process looks a little bit like this. So we focus on customers using either SAP BPC, the Oracle Hyperion product stack, IBM TM1, Microsoft Cubes, or Tagetik. And we have also currently developing a OneStream connector and also a PBCS connector to the Oracle Cloud environment. But traditionally, people using any of these systems, they pull at the end of the reporting period main information to Excel, and then all sorts of activities are done within the Excel world. So last minute changes are pushed in Excel instead of into CX or into the Oracle or the SAP tooling. So then things are pushed to Excel books. Then once mistakes or last minute uploads from underlying systems are done, this process is repeated, and once that's finalized, it's being pushed into a paper book and being distributed either in PDF, PowerPoint, or just on plain paper. There's a lot of copy and pasting going around in that process. It's a very manual, repetitive process every month, again and again and again. And I think, Paul, you can share some experiences with the audience that you see within Infratects customers dealing with this process.
Yes, I can. I mean, apart from what we see here on this slide, in our experience with EPM customers, we see quite a few challenges actually with the use of Excel for reporting. One thing that we see in particular is that Excel files that are built by, let's say, the finance community, they start building reports and they add things and then they remove things. Somebody else takes over a sheet and then they enhance the report further. And before you know it, you see Excel workbooks evolving to really large spreadsheets with many different tabs, and you see the performance of the Excel files really slowing down as well. That's really one particular challenge that we see with the use of Excel for reporting. But also in terms of collaboration, we see that Excel is tentative being used for collaboration purposes. So people use the reports to provide comments. But then there could be potentially different versions of the reports with different comments. And it's also quite difficult in Excel to consolidate all those comments. Let's say if you have a report for a business unit and you want to consolidate all those comments together into one overview. This is really, I think, where you start to face limitations of Excel as a reporting tool.
Okay, thanks, Paul. It's always good to hear some examples from the field, and it's exactly what we're aiming at those sorts of drawbacks from the reporting process being done in Excel. So how would that look in CXO? So we're still aiming at the same source systems, aiming at the same information stored in either of these systems, but with CXO we have a controlled automated process to pull that data from the source system into the CXO dashboards. And we literally don't use Excel anymore in the middle of that process. We're still able to manipulate the data through some MDX statements and MDX formulas that we can create in our database. So you're still flexible in changing data coming from your underlying source systems into CXO, but it's a very robust way of dealing with your monthly figures, and it's not a sort of a repetitive process anymore. So once you've set this up correctly, a lot of the reports are automated and pushed into CXO. So that's sort of very safe, secure, quick way, and it delivers a whole lot of value to it. Drill down, we'll talk about that later. Commenting has already been mentioned by Paul. It's something that's automated within our system and a very important piece of the value that we deliver to our customers. So we have basically thought about a full-on reporting process, including everything that our customers really want. So this is the picture that we're aiming for within our customer base. We've been doing this for 10 years, as I quickly mentioned in the introduction, and I know that Infratects has been a little bit longer in the market space, but we are focusing on the same sort of customers, and that's why I think it's very important that we work together with parties like Infratects, because we service the same communities. And the customers that you see circled are among our joint customers as well. And we are, of course, looking for more customers that we can jointly service in the future. But all of these logos that you see here are CXO Cockpit users. They all have either Hyperion or SAP BPC or Tagetic or any other EPM system in the market space, and they're all looking to change the reporting process from Excel, manual, paper-driven, PowerPoint, cut and paste-driven process to an automated process. So in summary, how do people simplify their reporting process? The main two elements and the key elements that we want to highlight is first the connectivity that CXO Cockpit has to these market-leading systems. So SAP, BPC, Oracle, Hyperion, Product Stack, IBM TM1, Microsoft, Tagetic, and as mentioned, OneStream, and the PPCS product stack is currently in a beta version. So connectivity is a key element of our proposition because we have such strong connectivity with these systems that has two advantages. We see the immediate, we recognize all the underlying metadata straight away, and we are also capable of therefore delivering the solution really quickly to our customers. So this is not a project that takes months. No, this is done in days or weeks. So the connectivity is an important piece of the proposition. And we also have the capability of adding multiple sources together into one CXO Cockpit environment, even into one CXO Cockpit dashboard. So you could pull data from Hyperion Financial Management together with data from Essbase. Or you could pull data from HFM together with other relevant data coming from a different source, like for instance an Excel sheet with your HR data in there, or any other important data that is relevant for management reporting can be added to the system. So connectivity is one thing that is key to how our customers deal with this problem. And the second thing is that everything that CXO does, it's finance owned. So it's finance in control. You don't need to rely on IT to run CXO Cockpit. So everybody who can build a smart view report can also work with CXO Cockpit and deal with all the aspects of our solution. So having said that, quickly setting the scene for our live demo is a very recognizable Excel example from one of our customers. It's a P&L with a nicely formatted list of accounts on the left side and some of their groups, a total and a variance. So in practice, this means there are 4 regions that have 10 subsidiaries. So in practice, this also is a 15-page book already from one simple reporting example. So if you want to print this to paper, you would need 15 pages to show the results in paper. But what happens if you want to change something or add something like a calculation where these 2 accounts are added to the total depreciation and amortization? 9 out of 10 times people solve this in SmartView or in their Excel interface instead of solving this in the underlying EPM system. And 9 out of 10 times this is just a very simple calculation, but you need to change this in all the 15 underlying dashboards as well, or sorry, in all the 15 underlying Excel sheets for all the regions. So this is very cumbersome, and this is just a very simple example. I'm quite sure that Paul can testify that looking at customers' Excel sheets can be extremely complex, extremely difficult, and often maintained by a very few people that really know what's going on in these Excel sheets because they are so complex. So obviously, you know, you can build something like this in CXO Cockpit in a easier way as well. And let's just see if my session has timed out, yes or no, and it does. So we'll jump straight from the Excel example into a live CXO Cockpit environment. And firstly, I want to share with you that this is fully web-based. I'm running it from a Google Chrome environment, but you can run it from any sort of browser, Firefox, Safari, Google Chrome, obviously Internet Explorer as well. And it truly requires a 0 footprint. So you don't need to install anything as an end user to start using CXO Cockpit. In order to see the full screen, I'll take the browser bar away. And this is the exact same report that you just saw in Excel, but now in CXO format. The top entity is called Comma Communication, and we have the 4 different regions, the combined account total, and we compare it against budget and the variance. So the easy thing here is in the point of view, we can also simply put another category from the underlying EPM system in there, and all of a sudden we're comparing it to forecast instead of budget, which is in practice another 15 prints in your paper book. But we can also simply in the same dashboard go to an underlying entity, click on the point of view, and then we have the same dashboard but now for Brazil, Mexico, Argentina and South America, even combined with the commenting that are specifically entered into the system for this entity. So if I change an entity and look at Europe, it won't surprise you that it's Italy, United Kingdom, and the total of Europe that we see here, but we also see the commenting that are specifically entered into the system based on the entity Europe. And of course, if we go to Asia, you'll understand the drill that we're now looking at Asia data. So it's that easy to change things as an end user, and we easily change, or when you want to maintain this dashboard, we'll share a little bit at the end of the webinar if time permits, that it's very easy to maintain this dashboard as well. So another perk of having this in CXO technology is that we can drill on certain items. So for instance, I drill on my total compensation and it says salaries and payroll. What if in the underlying Hyperion system this drill path would then add another account, like it's called payroll 2, for instance. So then automatically in CXO Cockpit the additional account will show in the drill. So then you would have salaries, payroll, and payroll 2, and you wouldn't have to do a single piece of maintenance to make that happen. Another thing, and I think Paul you wanted to comment on that as well, is that we don't have to necessarily follow the drill path of the underlying setup in the EPM system, so we don't have to follow the path of the children of the accounts in EPM, but we can also drill to a completely different dimension, as we're doing here, that we're drilling from net sales into products, for instance. And that is something that's very hard to do in Excel, right?
Yeah, indeed. It's quite difficult to do it, and especially to do it in such a dynamic way, because in this example, if you would update your master data from your source EPM application accordingly, CXO basically picks this up and automatically updates your dashboards with this information. And in an Excel environment, you really have to go into your Excel file, and everywhere where you require this level of detail, you have to make an update of it. So it's much more sensitive for that kind of maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. And of course, all the colors that you saw in the previous Excel sheet, they are gone. But we can work with all the colors that you have seen in that sheet as well. It's just that we believe that the cleaner you create your dashboard, the easier it is to read as an end user. But there's much more to the demo than just this particular item. So let's just quickly look at some other examples where we can combine even the rows and the tablets, sort of the rows and tables, with graphs at the bottom. So if I now select an account, you would see that at the bottom the account will follow the actual last year and budget in a graphical format as well, and that goes for any sort of account that I select, or even in a drill down path I can go as detailed as I want to, and it still shows all the details in the graphs as well. If I want to have the same sort of setup, but then for instance at the bottom with a bridge report, then of course that's also possible in CXO Cockpit, and it will react to the data that I've selected in the grid. And if I want to change that into forecast, then the underlying table here will change into actual versus forecast as well. So everything is set up in a very dynamic way, and I can also look, of course, at this dashboard from the top entity as well. Some other examples that I want to share with you, but prior to doing that, I want to also highlight that our customers using the system, and in this case this is KLM, obviously you can really tailor-make the homepage of CXO Cockpit as well. So they've created this really nice picture. They've put tiles on it so that the end user has a really simplified way of going into a certain data direction. And for instance, if the CEO of KLM would click on the P&L tile, which in this case is still coming soon, then in practice, of course, this is just a screenshot, but in practice it could mean that this CEO will go to, for instance, this profit and loss in their system, and it will open up, and I'm timed out again, sorry. So it's loading my report. So now, I'm entering into a profit and loss, which was linked from the home page. So it's also possible to link from any sort of account into another dashboard as well as you think, because this is just an HTML tool. So in this case, this is a sort of a standard profit and loss where we have the same sort of drill functionality that you saw before, but now we can add something that if I select the smartphone and tablets from my product dimension, I over here have some more detailed information on that specific line that I've used with the products in more detail here below. Or if, for instance, I want to look at my gross margin, I can split that by product and by entity in the same graph, giving me lots of overview on deviations that I can see. Obviously here it's actual versus budget, it's minus 10%, and it turns into green because we're actually looking at a cost account. So if you are below your budget, it's a good thing. I can also change this into let's say another category if I want to. In the meantime, we have seen a question popping up that is relevant for this webinar. Yep, the labels can be customized. This is something that we actually inherit from the underlying system, and you can of course overwrite them as well and create your own labels there. So the categories, the labels, the accounts, everything is, in this case, this is an HFM demo. It's pulled straight from the underlying metadata from the HFM source. So let's go back to the demo. This is just a P&L. Of course, we have, based on the menu at the top, several different ways of showing a P&L. So we could also show a P&L in a waterfall format where we have the same accounts on the left side and, for instance, look at our gross margin in this particular way, starting with the budget at the top, the actual at the bottom, and if I want to change that into, for instance, another category, into last year data, then we can also see it from a last year perspective as well. So there's also a graphical way of looking at the P&L. And there's also a way of combining graphical interface with more standard tabular reports. So in CXO you have the capability of either choosing a standard template or you can create your own. And this is an example of where you can create your own template from basically a library of objects where you can create this object, and a tabular report in the same environment. Another example could be that you choose to put only graphs in there, and then you have 6 different graphs that you handpick with this case cash flow, operating income, gross margin, etc. So seeing the time is ticking. The commenting thing is something that is key to CXO Cockpit, but is hard to explain in just a couple of minutes. You've seen something of that before, but if you want to learn more about that, please send us an email and we can share some more extensive information on commenting. Storyboarding is also a very important aspect of our solution that I quickly want to highlight. So the storyboard is actually the capability of creating a book in CXO Cockpit. The big difference is that you only create this book once, and that you can repeat and resend the book every month again to your audience, and obviously this will be updated with the monthly actuals from that particular period. So here are underneath this little pick line, you can just see all the dashboards that are in this little book, and by using the media player at the top we can just select and browse through this book of information that I'm getting sent by email or another other way to me as an end user. But this book is still very much interactive, so it's not something static like a piece of paper. No, I can still change this and look at another entity if I have the user rights, of course, to do that. Or I can go from one dashboard to the other in the storyboard, or even if I have the user rights, I can go to a completely different report while I'm in my storyboard. So this is very interactive way of sharing information with your community, and by setting up these dashboards correctly, this will hopefully prevent the admins from getting lots of additional questions being raised because information is missing. So this is something that our customers fine-tune during an implementation. Which dashboards do they really want to get in their little booklet, yes or no? And this is an example of a cash flow statement, but it's built in the same sort of template that you saw before as the P&L. So it has the exact same functionality, but now it's a cash flow report instead of a P&L based report. And that's how our customers can reuse these templates in a really easy fashion for different purposes. So quickly browsing through this is the profit and loss waterfall in the book that you've seen before. This is another really powerful dashboard giving you a lot of information based on the account that is selected up here. So in the back you see the budget, which is the orange mountain, the actual months, the budget months, and of course if I now change my period to August, you would see that the August period would be highlighted, and from September we will take the forecasted data. If I want to select my account, I can also change that, look at gross margin. If I want to know what's going on in the 12 months from a gross margin perspective, I click on the 12 months and my actuals automatically change into forecast. So seeing the fact that we are ending rather soon and that our half an hour is done, let's look at some of the additional questions that we have. So let me have a look at that. So a question from Ronald from the audience. Thank you. Is there a way of test driving this software on top of our EPM system? Yes, there is. So CXO Cockpit in combination with Infratects, we offer what we call a proof of concept. And the proof of concept is something that is virtually a risk-free test drive of CXO Cockpit. So in 4 days, we will charge 6,000 euros for the proof of concept, to be perfectly honest. But just to make sure that you take this POC very seriously. But after the 6,000 euros, you can decide whether you want to move on with a proof of concept and go into the implementation phase, or whether you have doubts about the value of CXO Cockpit. So there's an opportunity for you to say no at the end of the proof of concept as well. It doesn't happen a lot. Once we're in the proof of concept phase, most of our prospects move on to the implementation as well. And in the proof of concept, we install our software. We deliver 15 to 20 dashboards based on your underlying system. So that could either be SAP BBC, HFM, Essbase, Microsoft Analysis Services, etc. So it will be based on your data, based on your structures, etc., etc. So hopefully that answers that question. There's another question on the connectivity of CXO Cockpit, and as mentioned, that's one of our key strengths. But we will take that question offside because it would take a little bit more in-depth conversation to explain exactly how we do that. But all the connectors that CXO Cockpit offers for all the underlying systems, they are all maintained within our software. They're being built by CXO Cockpit. They're part of our software package, and they're all almost plug and play. Let's see if there's a final question that we can answer. The final question that we want to pick from the list of questions, and the rest will be answered by email, is a typical implementation, how long will that take? Seeing that we can do a proof of concept in 3 to 4 days and build 20 dashboards, you can imagine that the implementation itself is a very short exercise. So normally when people do the proof of concept, the results of the proof of concept are also the fundament of the ongoing implementation afterwards. So it will require some training from the local admins, and we will of course fine-tune and build more dashboards in the implementation phase. So typically an initial implementation of setting up CXO Cockpit requires 10 days, and that is including the 4 days of the proof of concept. So an additional 6 days and your people are trained and will be able to work with CXO Cockpit themselves. And that was, by the way, another question. Can we maintain CXO Cockpit within our finance team? Yes, you can. So that's something that is very important, that as a consultancy firm, we help you, and Infratects as a consultancy firm for CXO Cockpit as well, will help you during the proof of concept, will help you during the implementation, but after that, all of our customers maintain CXO Cockpit themselves. I think seeing the time is ticking away, this is it. We thank you for your attention. All the attendees will get the PowerPoint that we shared with you in advance. We will also share with you a link where you can try this demo. So this is running live. This demo is also running live on our website, that you can try to play with the demo yourself. So we will share that link with you. And we will also share the contact details of Paul and myself. So if you have additional questions, or if you want to set up a follow-up meeting to go into more detail where we can actually also show you how we built these dashboards, because time didn't permit us to do that, that would also be a very valuable exercise. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully this was interesting to you.